Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Deep Listening Thursday with Fifth House Ensemble. I'm Hareen Koshak, the cellist of Fifth House. Joining me today are Mason, who is about 25 feet away from me. We all have a crazy it's a crazy day together. So he got here early so he could do DL and not have to sit in the car for it. And Kelsey and Karen and Kelly. So nice to see you all. And I would like to start today with a little choose your own body warm up, but I want to do it in sort of an intentional way, where let's select from like five or so of the ones that we've been doing quite a bit lately. Like some of our tried and trues are two hands pushed to heaven. That's the one where we're going up like this, and then wrap and slap, the one that we go like this. And then let's think about the fan walk, which I think I did last time, the accordion like one, the belt walk, which I did I think the previous week. The yes, thank you, Karen, exactly, the infinity symbol one, and then the walk like a bird, fly like a bird. So we've got one that goes up, we've got one that's twisty, we've got one that's the loop, one that goes up and down this way, and then one that goes what's the one that I just missed? Fan, belt, and accordion. Right. I want us to choreograph spontaneously a little Zoom ballet. So what I would like to have us think about is the idea of doing them, yeah, interpretive dance, exactly, and being very intentional again about whether we're doing this our own thing, whether we're influenced by somebody else, and whether we're very intentionally contrasting something that somebody else is doing, or whether we're like fully replicating what they're doing. So this is sort of a mashup of a couple of things that we enjoy doing. And we're just gonna treat our body warm-ups that way. So here we go. Go ahead and if you can make it so we can kind of see each person fairly well. I'm actually gonna prop up my computer a little bit. I have a giant plastic box that I am going to put my laptop on so that y'all have better views. And Mason is unabashedly sharing all of my dirty secrets of incomplete construction projects in my house. All the ones I take great care to not disclose. I don't care, it's fine. Here we go. Okay, so 5 or so options. And if you decide at some point that you want to add something else in here, that is totally fine too. We're just doing what we're doing. So I can sit back a little bit more. There we go. Take a second and shake it out. And feel free to come back.
I just fell on my couch trying to do something crazy.
I didn't notice. Were you out of screen?
No, I wasn't looking at my screen at the moment. But that was fun. I wish
I
I
don't know
had
how
a
I missed
much
you falling off. That I did not see that happen.
I
But
wish I had a much bigger screen so I could like really do stuff with you guys, but I just can't see it. So
that's okay. Are you okay? Good. Oh, hang on. It looks like okay, cool. I thought my mic switched over. Looks like it's okay. Yeah. What were your thoughts about that?
Always good to get blood flowing in the morning. And when you were listing all those different walks, I was like, how is the fan walk different from the accordion walk? I had this sort of moment of like, they all kind of mixed together. And so that I was really trying to differentiate them in my mind, but good stuff.
Yeah, I kind of threw a whole bunch out there, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to experiment with going back and forth. I think we try to be so like mindful in one, but it kind of felt like it'd be interesting to see which one could apply in this moment, kind of aesthetically based on what other people were doing. Based on where I am in the screen, I see myself in the middle. It's like 3 and 2. And so Kelsey and Mason are on either side of me, and I found myself kind of doing one of the like the horizontal things more often when they were doing vertical things. Then they tended to seem to do vertical things or like similar things at the same time more. So I felt like there was like this like pillar, like a book ending in visually. For me, that's just how it came up for me. But that's the fun of this too, is that that almost getting lost in like the daydreaming aspect of watching things and kind of letting your mind sort of soften a little bit, and I don't know, I like that aspect applied to this. Any other thoughts?
Based on like how my body was feeling, I kind of merged two in one, where I would do like two hands push to heaven, but then kind of like twist my body like in rap and slap. And it was just nice to kind of feel like, okay, I think my body needs this, so I'm just gonna go with it and do it.
Yeah, I love that, like where we started to create hybrid versions of things based on what we felt and what we were seeing. Eh, that's awesome. Anything else? Cool. So I wanted to share a little. I don't know why this kind of blew my mind. Maybe it's not as interesting to others, but I actually just ordered Sounding the Margins, which is the third collection of Pauline's writings. Pauline Oliveros, for anybody who's joining us out in the Zoom world or in the YouTube land. These were sort of, I think this is a final edition from 1992 to 2009. Something that actually spurred me to purchase this was, it's a wild coincidence that we are working with composers at UW Milwaukee. We'll actually have a performance up in Milwaukee at the Jan Sur studio on November 19th. Kelly and Karen will send you that info if you're interested. It'll be a Friday night performance. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a beautiful, beautiful space, actually, like a warehouse type, cool modern space. And we're going to be performing the works of 4 composers who are students at UW Milwaukee, and also one of the composition professors, Philip Sink, wrote a piece that we've actually integrated into one of our Rivers Empyrean performance show versions. And it's actually called Lake Effect. And maybe I've mentioned that piece here. I don't think I think I've mentioned it a little bit in passing. But anyway, it turned out that one of the student composers was the editor. His name is Lawton Hall, and he was the editor for this book. He has a relationship with Lawrence and had some work with Pauline, and it's very interesting. Yes, and I will advertise the show. Thank you, Kelly. That's awesome. It is free, and it will be open I think they're doing tickets so that they can limit capacity, but it is free. So we'll make sure you guys have a link for that. Anyway, one thing that was actually very interesting to me, I don't always read forewords to books, to publications that somebody, is like a collection of someone else's work. But in this case, the foreword is written by John Luther Adams, who is an incredible composer, bases a lot of his work in natural surroundings and very experiential pieces. But he actually wrote the foreword to this book. And some of this is stuff we already know, but it's interesting to hear his take on Pauline. And I almost want to read the whole foreword, but I'm not going to read the whole foreword. But I don't know why. It was really late at night and I just started reading it and I was like awake for the next hour, sort of pondering his take on Pauline. So I'll read a little bit of it. And if you all are like, all right, it's not that interesting, I'll just stop. Okay, so on her 21st birthday, Pauline Oliveros received from her mother a gift that changed her life, a reel-to-reel tape recorder. Listening to a recording she made of the sounds outside her window, Pauline immediately recognized that the microphone had heard things that her ears had missed. This epiphany led her to the simple but demanding practice that she has followed ever since. Listen to everything all the time and remind yourself when you are not listening. This discipline became the foundation of Pauline's life work. Listening, improvising, teaching, expanding the capabilities of musical instruments, sounding the margins of music. For Pauline, music is rooted in sound and in listening. This may seem like self-evident proposition, but practiced with Pauline's uncompromising integrity, it's surprising how radically it challenges conventional orthodoxies. Pauline is profoundly curious and open to new sounds, new ideas, and new experiences. Her irrepressible enthusiasm is evident in everything she does, in her music, her teaching, and in the writings in this book. Pauline is a generous, expansive, and ageless spirit. She is a mentor, teacher, inspiration, and role model to countless musicians all over the world. But everyone who would dismiss her as a sort of new age guru is missing the fierce intellect that burns within the woman and her work. In the late 1990s, Pauline and I shared a teaching position alternating semesters at the Oberlin College Conservatory of Music. During those 2 years, we were asked to propose a new core curriculum for the school. Pauline brought to the task the same energy she brings to everything she does. I was amazed at Pauline's uncanny knack for explaining the most radical artistic ideas on terms that made sense to skeptical educators. Pauline has always been a leader in using new technology to make music, yet for her, technology is not an end in itself. The technology she uses has always been in service to music, creativity, and humanity. Pauline is intrigued by the convergence of human and artificial intelligence, but she recognizes clearly the larger question that it raises. We must decide what a 50-year-old silicon structure is going to tell a 5 billion-year-old structure of carbon before making irreversible physical changes. Of course, machines are not a separate species. They are creations of human beings, reverberations and extensions of the body and mind. And as she writes, it is the non-linear carbon chaos, the unpredictable turns of chance permutation, the meatiness, the warmth, the simple, profound humanity of beings that brings presence and wonder to music. And then it goes on, but I don't know. That floored me. Like, it's so interesting being this far into working in deep listening and trying to explain deep listening and I find myself stuck on this thing, feeling defensive sometimes, more often than not, about like, I know it sounds really new agey, but like, it's actually really not. I don't know. I'm wondering how that resonates with others. Yeah, please.
Just the big thing of knowing an origin helps everything. Then you understand someone's intentions or what you might speculate would be, a natural consequence of you being someone who paid attention to the sounds, from a recorder. Like, I understand that. I haven't had one of those reel to reels myself, but yeah, I have a lot of recordings in I listen to them from nature, and there's lots of things that we can hear in the city that's amazing, and there's so much you can do by just enjoying like voice recorder that's on your phone. So anyway, I can, it resonates, but that'd be a cool book. I hope you like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just, I know we've read excerpts from it in the course of our studies, but I didn't own a hard copy, and I decided I really wanted to. Um yeah, thanks for that. It's just interesting to hear a take from a composer who's so well established too. And I agree. I think a lot of times her work is sort of met with this, like a lot of people who are in, very high level academics will say like, yeah, they know of her. They don't have a lot of experience with it. And I do think that there's a little bit of a stigma, like new agey stigma around it. So it is super interesting that in her moment, she was, she could very clearly and concisely actually bring people around. In a lot of the curricular design that she was doing at many different academic institutions. So it is interesting sometimes to think about how we're able to explain things in a way that works, for a very large variety of people coming from very different contexts. And the interesting thing is a lot of this, I think, was designed um, for her students initially, for people to go back to like a foundational way of experiencing sound. And I was actually asked recently by a neurologist at Northwestern, like, who was this for? Like, was this for retreat like what was the purpose of this? Who, and it's so is like, was it supposed to be medicinal? Was it supposed to be, how did this work? And so that's just a really interesting thing to consider of how she would have explained it. We have that documented, but also then that impression of how other people understood it, and the respect, that she garnered from someone like John Luther Adams in the process. Any other thoughts? Sorry, Grace, you're just hopping in here. I just read a little excerpt of a foreword by John Luther Adams of Pauline's work. Yeah, Karen, I thought it looked like you were, yeah.
Yeah, I study gender, and I'm always interested in how women are gained legitimacy and taken seriously, and understanding her as a female composer, queer, or non different kind of person. And I just think about how there's already sort of some skepticism about just because of who people are,
Yeah.
that can make the journey to legitimacy more challenging. And I'm trying to think, and this is the only context I've heard of Pauline Oliveros. I didn't get any in my music education or in the circles that I happen to travel in. And I think about, like, well, her contemporaries, like people who were successful in pop, like I'm thinking of, like, I don't know, maybe Thomas Dolby or somebody who, no one questions the legitimacy. No one, it's just like, oh, this white dude, came up with these things. And I just, anyway, I'm thoughtful of that, and I'm appreciative of you putting that into the context of how she has been, like, I didn't know that she did that at Oberlin, or the kinds of how her work does fit it. And I'm also curious about there's probably multiple answers to the Northwestern doctor asking what is because it does, in my perspective, it does seem to have a healing quality to it. I don't know if that's what she was going after. I don't know if other musical traditions or other things that become new agey are often decontextualized, maybe indigenous or culturally appropriated techniques that were taken from somewhere else and delegitimized there. And so it's like, anyway, it opens up all those questions for me.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And yeah, more to come on that, on those conversations that we're having about where are the next applications for this. I think we'll have more to share soon, I think. But yes, I think it's she had such a huge vision for, I think, what this could be. I don't know that she explored every nook and cranny. I don't think that there was time, or there's just not enough time to even do that in one's lifetime. But it's all super interesting. I don't know. I really enjoyed this, and I recommend the book. I will highly I will pass it around too when I'm done with it for the folks here. And but in any case, we yeah, go ahead, Karen.
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
The title of the book is something about margins.
Sounding the margins, which he
Sounding
then
margins.
refers to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and margins or interstitial spaces
Right.
in ecological terms, in disciplinary terms, those are really rich, diverse, interesting spaces for innovation. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah, thank you. I that's so true. And he actually keeps using that phrase several times through it. So the very closing little paragraph, he says, through her long, rich life, fearlessly and joyfully sounding the margins, Paulina Olivera stands as a singular figure, a central presence in the music of our time. It's yeah, I mean, it's an incredible forward. If anyone ever wrote anything remotely close to that about anything I ever did, not that I would ever expect to do that, have that level of accomplishment, but it's pretty fascinating stuff. Oh my gosh, it's 9:56. What are we going to do? We were going to do Grace's score that she didn't get to the other day. But actually, then I thought, I think what would be fun, this was another, like, as I started to dig into the book a little bit, one thing that came up was she actually, Pauline, um, refers to, there's a score that we love to do that we call before, during, and after, and I think it's even called that somewhere else in her writings, but in this book she calls it 3 strategic options. And those 3 strategic options are sound before another performer, sound after another performer, sound with another performer. And if performing as a soloist, substitute sound from the environment for another performer. So maybe with a couple minutes we have, let's go ahead and do this one. Sound before, sound after, or sound with. And feel free to do that with whatever sound objects you have in your environment. Always fun. I enjoyed thinking of it with that different titling, three strategic options. I don't know what it is, but it like changes what it is for me a little bit. I'm not sure I can put my finger on how to be more clear about that, but any other thoughts on that? Mason, it was hilarious. You're actually on mute, but I could hear you. And I think you came through here. No, it's fine. It was actually interesting because there was a delay in obviously the visual. I could hear him before the clap, but then it lined up with somebody else clapping. So I was like, that was interesting. It was really interesting.
Wow.
I used to do that all the time. I used to be jamming so hard on my piano with like the biggest group of us, and you guys were like ready to play in a symphony or something, and I'm nowhere near that. And I'm like, yeah, and then it would be muted.
It happens to all of us.
Like you didn't even know how I was so jamming with all of you, and I thought I was like, I could be a band member and all that, and then. So, anyway, you'll never know.
We do know, and you're awesome. That's so funny though, because that's the cool thing, is that we all still can have this like personal experience of the sound regardless, right? Like that's kind of one of the beauties of all of this. Music is your birthright after all. Exactly. Thank you, Karen. Next week, I think that Ellen is going to be joining us with one of her classes. They're all going to be in Zoom with us, all of them in one big room. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly which day. I think it's going to be either Tuesday or Thursday next week, which will be really exciting. And if anyone has been in touch with Todd, I'm still looking for Todd. I might contact her daughter and see if we can find her, because I did reach out. I'm not sure how much she's on Facebook these days, but anyway, yeah, it's so exciting to get to do this again and get to do it on a regular basis and build that ritual into our lives again. I Mason. Teo has this. You want to show? It's so funny. I've actually been wanting to bust this out. Teo has this Lego Mario set that he bought with his own money, and it makes all the sounds from the game. There's little chips on each of the little pieces, and then if he hits it, it like does that sound. Here, do you want to do it a little demo?
I was wondering why no one was reacting.
Because it plays all the songs. It like does all the little jingles based on which thing it like lands on. But anyway, that's why, Mason. Sorry. Next time. Mason is blowing all my covers today. He's showing everybody the painter's tape on my windows and all the toys that I've been saving up for my own DL sessions. Parker is asking me to be done. So we're going to go ahead and be done. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Happy
Thanks.